Topic 1. The illusion of control, the true weakness behind indifference. Indifference at first glance may seem like a powerful shield, a demonstration of absolute control over emotions. However, behind this cold facade lies a deep weakness. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true strength lies in facing our feelings and vulnerabilities head-on, not hiding them. When someone ignores us, they are actually trying to avoid confronting their own insecurities. This doesn't reflect our worth, but rather the emotional limitation of that person who prefers to pretend we don't exist rather than deal with their own emotions. Imagine someone who, when confronted with an uncomfortable situation, simply turns their back and walks away. This behavior, often interpreted as a show of strength or self-control, is actually a sign of weakness. The Stoics teach us that true strength lies in the ability to face challenges and emotions courageously and directly. When someone uses indifference as a mask, they are merely avoiding confronting their own weaknesses. To be a better person, according to Stoicism, means having the courage to face emotions, even the most uncomfortable ones, and not running away from them. This mask of indifference often creates an illusion of control. However, it is a false security, because it avoids direct confrontation with what really bothers us. The modern Stoic, on their journey of personal development, understands that ignoring a situation or a person doesn't make it disappear. On the contrary, this attitude can intensify negative emotions even more, such as anxiety and resentment. True emotional freedom comes from facing these situations head-on, accepting your own vulnerabilities and using them as a path to personal growth. Stoicism teaches us that indifference is like building a wall around our emotions, but walls also imprison us. When someone acts with indifference, they are only surrounding themselves with emotional walls that, while they may seem protective, end up isolating them from true human connections and personal development. Facing life head-on, without hiding behind indifference, is what truly strengthens us. Stoic discipline teaches us to embrace vulnerability, because it is in this space that we find the strength to be better. It is important to realize that indifference is not a reflection of your worth. Often, another person's indifferent behavior is a desperate attempt to maintain control over something they themselves cannot understand. By recognizing this, you free yourself from the trap of questioning your own value. Instead of internalizing this indifference, Stoic advice is to use this experience as a reminder that the problem lies with the other person and not with you. This understanding opens the door to a stronger and more resilient mind. Instead of reacting to indifference with hurt or resentment, the Stoics teach us to use these experiences as opportunities for growth. Stoic resilience allows us to see beyond appearances and understand that others' weakness does not define who we are. By cultivating this perspective, you not only become stronger emotionally, but also more capable of maintaining your inner peace, regardless of others' actions. Thus, when faced with indifference, remember that this is a test of your inner strength, a valuable life lesson. True strength, according to Stoicism, lies in not being undermined by the indifference of others. Instead of feeling diminished, use this moment to reaffirm your own value. Stoic philosophy teaches us that it is in challenging moments that our discipline and resilience are truly tested. Therefore, when faced with indifference, see it as an opportunity to grow, to strengthen emotionally, and to become the best version of yourself. After all, how can you use this understanding to better deal with indifference in your life? Leave your answer in the comments. Topic 2. Detachment from others' expectations, a path to freedom. Freeing yourself from others' expectations is a challenge everyone faces at some point in life, but it is also one of the most powerful steps towards achieving true inner peace. The Stoics teach us that happiness should not depend on external opinions or approvals, but rather on a deep alignment with our own values and principles. When we let go of the desire to please others, we begin to live more authentically, respecting what truly matters to us. Detachment is thus one of the pillars of modern Stoicism, allowing us to find freedom and tranquility amidst the chaos of social expectations. Imagine someone who spends their life trying to meet others' expectations, whether in their career, relationships, or even in how they present themselves to the world. This constant effort can be exhausting and often fruitless, leading to an internal emptiness. Stoic philosophy teaches us that by freeing ourselves from these external pressures, we rediscover our own path. Personal development begins when we stop worrying about what others think and focus on who we truly are and what we want to achieve. This not only makes us more authentic, but also brings us closer to a fuller and more satisfying life. When you detach from others' expectations, something magical happens. You start making decisions that truly reflect who you are. It's no longer about pleasing others or living according to imposed standards, but about finding your own voice and living according to it. This change may seem simple, but it has a profound impact on the quality of life. The Stoics emphasize that by aligning with our internal values, we not only find peace, but also begin to attract more authentic relationships based on mutual respect and understanding. After all, genuine relationships flourish when we are true to ourselves. Detachment from external expectations is, in fact, a path to emotional freedom. When we are no longer tied to what others expect of us, we gain space to explore and grow according to our own pace and desires. Stoic discipline helps us stay focused on what truly matters, teaching us to ignore external noise and trust our own moral compass. This freedom does not mean disregarding others, but rather recognizing that our value does not depend on others' approval. This allows us to live more lightly, without the constant weight of external expectations. For many, this journey begins with small changes, like saying no to commitments that are not aligned with our values, or simply stopping the constant search for validation from others. Stoic philosophy encourages us to reflect on the areas of our lives where we are still trapped by others' expectations, and to take concrete steps to free ourselves from them. Perhaps it's time to ask yourself, in which areas of your life are you still living for others? By identifying these points, you can begin to build a more authentic and satisfying life where your choices reflect your true desires and not what others expect of you. A practical example of this detachment can be seen in career choices. How many people pursue careers they don't love simply because it's what their parents or society expects of them? By adopting a Stoic stance, you can begin to question these decisions and ask if they truly reflect who you are. Perhaps it's time to explore new possibilities that are more aligned with your interests and passions. By doing this, you not only find more satisfaction, but also develop an inner resilience that makes you less vulnerable to external pressures. Stoicism teaches us that true success lies not in meeting others' expectations, but in living a life that is true to ourselves. By freeing ourselves from these expectations, we gain the clarity and confidence to follow our own path, regardless of others' opinions. This is the true freedom Stoicism offers. The ability to live according to our own values without being shaken by external pressures. And you, in which areas of your life do you still feel the weight of others' expectations? Leave your comment and share your experience. Topic 3. The power of indifference as a reflection of inner strength. Indifference, when understood from a Stoic perspective, can become a powerful ally in building a strong mind. Instead of seeing indifference as a personal affront, the modern Stoic perceives it as an opportunity to reaffirm their self-confidence and resilience. When someone ignores your actions or presence, it is not a sign of failure, but rather a moment to test your inner strength. By not allowing yourself to be shaken by the lack of recognition, you demonstrate that your worth does not depend on external approval, but on a deep understanding of yourself. This is one of the most valuable Stoic lessons. Imagine a situation where you strive your hardest to achieve a goal but do not receive the expected recognition. Instead of feeling discouraged, the Stoic sees this as a chance to reinforce their own confidence. Stoicism teaches us that true value does not lie in others' opinions, but in the perception we have of ourselves. By practicing this philosophy of life, you learn to value your achievements regardless of external reaction. This doesn't mean you should be insensitive, but rather that you should have the clarity to see beyond superficialities, understanding that others' indifference often reflects more their internal battles than your own failures. Being indifferent to others' indifference is an exercise of emotional power. Modern Stoicism shows us that by not reacting impulsively to a lack of recognition, we are actually demonstrating superior control over our emotions. This resilience is not easy to achieve, but once developed, it becomes a powerful tool for navigating the complexities of human relationships. By practicing this conscious indifference, you not only preserve your emotional energy, but also reinforce your independence, showing that your worth and purpose are not at the mercy of others' judgment. This Stoic approach to indifference also teaches the importance of staying focused on what truly matters. When you choose not to be shaken by others' indifference, you are actually reaffirming your own values and goals. This creates a protective barrier against the negative influence of external expectations, allowing you to continue moving towards your goals with determination and clarity. The Stoic understands that by strengthening this inner strength, they are better preparing themselves for life's inevitable challenges, where others' opinions are merely noise and not a compass. A practical example can be found in those who seek approval in the workplace. How many times have you felt frustrated by not receiving the recognition you deserve? Stoicism suggests that instead of fixating on this lack of validation, you should focus on your own growth and development. The discipline of a modern Stoic leads them to work diligently, not to please others, but to constantly improve themselves. In this way, others' indifference loses its power to negatively influence, transforming into an opportunity for self-overcoming. By developing this Stoic resilience, you begin to realize that the power of indifference lies in your ability to remain calm and focused, even in challenging situations. This ability is a reflection of a mind trained to value what really matters, without being swayed by external distractions. By becoming emotionally self-sufficient, you strengthen your presence and create an environment where inner peace is not easily shaken by external circumstances. This is fundamental for those seeking a more fulfilling life aligned with Stoic principles. Stoicism teaches us that true strength lies not in reacting impulsively to the world, but in maintaining a posture of confidence and clarity, even in the face of indifference. This philosophy of life invites us to see indifference not as a blow, but as a chance to exercise our inner strength. And you, how have you been dealing with indifference in your life? Are you allowing it to affect your sense of worth, or are you using it as a springboard for personal growth? Leave your answer in the comments. Topic 4. The Stoic silence, turning ignorance into power. Silence, when applied wisely, is one of the most powerful tools of the modern Stoic. In a world where words are often used as weapons, silence can be the best response to others' ignorance. When someone tries to destabilize you with provocations or contempt, Stoicism teaches that remaining calm and choosing not to react is a sign of strength and wisdom. This act of silence is not passivity, but rather a demonstration of emotional control, where you choose to preserve your energy for what truly matters, turning ignorance into a moment of personal power. Imagine being in a situation where someone tries to drag you into a pointless argument or provoke a negative reaction. Instead of getting carried away by the heat of the moment, the Stoic chooses silence, This silence, far from being a sign of weakness, is a statement that you will not lower yourself to the level of ignorance. Stoic philosophy values self-control, and silence is a clear expression of this principle. It allows you to maintain serenity, even when the situation around you is tumultuous, demonstrating that your focus and purpose are stronger than external provocations. This stoic silence is also a way to demonstrate confidence. When you choose not to respond to a provocation or offense, you are showing that the other's behavior has no power over you. Stoicism teaches that true strength lies not in reacting impulsively, but in choosing your battles wisely. By keeping silent, you are saying without words that your inner peace is unshakable and that you will not be dragged into a spiral of negativity. This type of emotional control is what sets the modern Stoic apart from those who are swayed by the whims of momentary emotions. In addition to being a protective shield, silence also offers time for reflection. Instead of responding immediately, you gain the opportunity to ponder the best course of action. This pause is crucial to avoid impulsive decisions that you might regret later. The Stoics understand that not every battle needs to be fought, and that often the best response is silence, which allows the situation to unfold naturally. This time for reflection also strengthens your presence because by not reacting immediately, you show that you are not at the mercy of circumstances, but rather in control of yourself. Silence, however, does not mean that you are ignoring or avoiding a situation. On the contrary, it is an active choice to respond with wisdom and strategy. Stoicism teaches us that silence can be a powerful form of communication, showing that you are above petty provocations and that you are more interested in preserving your integrity and inner peace. It is a practice of discipline, where you learn to save your words for the moments when they truly make a difference. In this way, silence becomes a tool for personal strengthening and building a strong and resilient mind. For example, think of a leader who, when confronted with unfair criticism or malicious comments, chooses not to react immediately. This leader, following Stoic principles, understands that their response can be more impactful when given at the right time and in the right way. Silence in this context is a strategy that disarms the aggressor and keeps the leader in a position of control. They are not affected by the words, but instead wait for the opportune moment to act with clarity and purpose. This type of behavior not only preserves the leader's emotional energy, but also strengthens their authority and respect among others. Stoicism teaches us that the power of silence lies not only in not speaking, but in understanding when it is wiser not to respond. This practice is not easy, but is incredibly effective in building a life of serenity and inner strength. How have you used silence in your life? Are you taking full advantage of this Stoic tool to turn challenging situations into growth opportunities? Leave your answer in the comments. Topic 5. Turning absence into self-sufficiency through presence. The absence of external attention or validation can be painful, but Stoicism teaches us that it is also a unique opportunity to develop self-sufficiency. When faced with indifference, it is natural to feel a void, a sense that something is missing. However, the modern Stoic turns this absence into a powerful tool for personal growth. Instead of endlessly seeking others' approval, they turn their gaze inward, recognizing and cultivating their own value and purpose. This internal movement of seeking presence within oneself is what leads to true emotional self-sufficiency. Imagine that you are in an environment where your contributions are constantly ignored. This scenario can easily undermine your confidence, making you question your own worth. However, by adopting a Stoic stance, you begin to realize that this lack of external recognition is actually an opportunity to strengthen your emotional independence. Instead of worrying about others' opinions, you learn to trust your own judgment and abilities. This is the path to deep personal development, where external validation becomes secondary to your own internal conviction. Turning absence into self-sufficiency does not mean isolating yourself or becoming indifferent to others, but rather developing such a strong inner presence that the lack of external recognition does not shake your peace. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true strength comes from within, and that by building a solid foundation of self-knowledge and self-confidence, we can navigate any situation with tranquility. When you become emotionally self-sufficient, you find that you are more present and genuine in your interactions because you are no longer bound by the desire to please or be validated by others. This inner presence, built from the absence of external validation, is also reflected in your relationships. When you no longer depend on others to feel complete, you become a stronger person, capable of offering support and understanding without expecting anything in return. This creates a virtuous cycle. The more self-sufficient you become, the more genuine and healthy your relationships become. Stoicism teaches that true human connection is based on mutual respect and a presence that does not need to be fueled by constant praise or recognition. A practical example of this can be seen in people who, after the end of a relationship, find a new inner strength. Instead of desperately seeking another person to fill the void, they choose to reconnect with themselves, rediscovering interests, passions, and values that were often dormant. This process of self-sufficiency not only strengthens the person emotionally, but also prepares them for healthier and more balanced future relationships. Stoic philosophy supports this journey of rediscovery, showing that absence does not have to be synonymous with loss, but rather with growth and renewal. Stoic discipline invites us to see every absence as a chance to strengthen our inner presence. When you detach from the need for external validation, you discover that your strength comes from within, and this discovery transforms the way you view the world. By focusing on what truly matters, your own growth and development, you create a solid foundation that no absence can shake. This not only improves your relationship with yourself, but also with others, because you become a positive and unshakable presence in the lives of those around you. Stoicism teaches us that true freedom comes from within, and this freedom begins with emotional self-sufficiency. How can you turn absences in your life into opportunities to strengthen your inner presence? Have you experienced the peace that comes from not depending on others' validation? Share your experience in the comments and reflect on how this Stoic lesson can be applied to your personal journey. Topic 6. The wisdom of time. Let time reveal your true value. Time, according to Stoicism, is one of the most patient and wise teachers we can have. In a world where everything seems to demand immediate answers and results, Stoic philosophy reminds us that the true value of a person or their actions is revealed over time. It's natural to want our work, choices, and even virtues to be recognized quickly. However, the modern Stoic understands that patience is an essential virtue and that time has a unique way of showing who we truly are. Instead of forcing immediate recognition, trust the process and allow your consistent actions to speak for themselves. Think of a plant you just planted. No matter how much you water and care for it, you will not see immediate results. Over time, however, it blooms and reveals all its beauty. So it is with our lives and actions. Stoicism teaches us that by maintaining our diligence and resilience, time will eventually reveal our true value. This perspective gives us tranquility because it frees us from haste and anxiety, allowing us to focus on the present and continue working on our goals with the certainty that sooner or later the fruits of our effort will manifest. Trusting in time is not passivity, but a form of deep wisdom. It is knowing that even when circumstances do not seem favorable, there is a process underway that, with patience, will bring results. The modern Stoic understands that every action, no matter how small, contributes to the whole, and that time is the best judge of a person's value and integrity. By adopting this mindset, you begin to see challenges and difficulties as natural steps in a larger process that, in the end, will reveal your true strength and character. This trust in time also teaches us not to be disheartened by criticism or the lack of immediate recognition. Stoic philosophy reminds us that often what is valuable in the long term is not necessarily appreciated in the short term. Therefore, by maintaining your integrity and continuing to follow your path with discipline, you are planting seeds that will bloom in due time. Don't let the need for instant approval lead you astray. Instead, trust that time will reveal your value and that your consistent and virtuous actions will be rewarded, even if not immediately. A practical example of this can be seen in many success stories where individuals persisted in their efforts despite adversity and lack of recognition. Think of writers whose works were rejected countless times before becoming classics, or entrepreneurs who faced multiple failures before achieving success. Stoicism teaches that time has the power to turn these stories of perseverance into examples of resilience and determination. The wisdom of time, therefore, is not just about waiting, but about continuing to work, knowing that recognition will come at the right moment. Stoicism invites us to embrace this active patience, where the focus is on doing what is right, regardless of the immediate reaction of others. This approach gives us a serenity that is hard to shake because we know that in the end, time will reveal the truth. It is a reminder that life is not a race, but a marathon, and that every step we take today, no matter how small it may seem, will contribute to the larger picture that time will inevitably paint. By internalizing this lesson, you become less susceptible to external pressures and more connected with your own path. Stoicism teaches us that the value of a well-lived life is not measured by immediate responses, but by consistency over time. How can you apply this wisdom in your own life? Are you trusting the process and allowing time to reveal your true value? Or are you still being weighed down by haste and anxiety? Leave your comment and share how this philosophy can transform your approach to life's challenges. Topic 7. Gratitude in the face of indifference, turning challenges into growth. Practicing gratitude in the face of indifference may seem counterintuitive, but it is a powerful Stoic lesson that helps us turn challenges into opportunities for growth. When we encounter indifference, the initial reaction may be one of hurt or resentment, but Stoicism invites us to see these situations through a different lens. By being grateful for indifference, you shift the focus from negative to positive, recognizing that these experiences are opportunities to strengthen your self-confidence and free yourself from the need for external validation. This mental reprogramming not only improves your well-being, but also prepares you to face life with more resilience. Imagine a scenario where you offer help or share an idea, but are met with indifference. Instead of feeling downcast, the Stoic chooses to internally thank this situation because it gives them the chance to reaffirm their own worth. Stoic philosophy teaches us that every challenge is a disguised lesson, and gratitude is the key to unlocking the learning contained in every experience. By adopting this mindset, you begin to see indifference not as a rejection, but as an invitation to grow, to strengthen emotionally, and to become increasingly independent of others' opinions. The practice of gratitude transforms the way you view life. Instead of being dragged down by the negativity of situations, you learn to see every challenge as an opportunity for improvement. Stoicism shows us that by being grateful for difficulties, we are actually opening ourselves to personal growth. This attitude not only strengthens your resilience, but also changes the dynamics of your interactions. When you approach a situation with gratitude instead of resentment, the energy you emit is different, and this can often disarm others' indifference and transform the relationship positively. This Stoic approach is particularly useful in work situations where indifference or lack of recognition can be common. Instead of being consumed by frustration, practice gratitude. Be grateful for the opportunity to show yourself that your worth does not depend on the immediate recognition of others. By doing this, you not only preserve your inner peace, but also become an example of strength and integrity. This constant practice of gratitude in the face of indifference may be what sets apart those who truly stand out, not just for what they do, but for how they handle challenges along the way. A practical example is of a person who, upon being ignored in an important meeting, chooses to be grateful for this experience. Instead of feeling marginalized, they use this moment to strengthen themselves internally, to improve their skills, and to better prepare for future opportunities. This change of perspective, inspired by Stoic philosophy, transforms what could have been a negative experience into a source of motivation and growth. By practicing gratitude, you become more resilient and less vulnerable to others' opinions, moving towards a more fulfilling and self-sufficient life. The discipline of gratitude also helps us stay focused on what truly matters. When you focus on being grateful for the lessons learned instead of dwelling on negative emotions, your energy is channeled into personal growth. Stoicism teaches us that life is full of challenges, but each one is an opportunity to become a better person. By practicing gratitude, you not only improve your relationship with yourself, but also with others, because your positive perspective becomes contagious, inspiring those around you to adopt a similar mindset. Stoicism shows us that gratitude is one of the most powerful tools for turning indifference into growth. How have you been dealing with indifference in your life? Could you start practicing gratitude in these challenging moments to turn pain into strength and resilience? Share your experience in the comments and reflect on how this practice can transform your life. Topic 8. Turning pain into growth, the Stoic path to overcoming. Pain is an inevitable part of life, but Stoicism teaches us that suffering is a choice. When we face pain, whether emotional or physical, we have the opportunity to turn it into a source of growth. The modern Stoic sees pain not as an end, but as a starting point for personal development. By adopting this mindset, you begin to see each challenge as a chance to strengthen yourself, learn something new, and grow as a person. This is the true Stoic path to overcoming, where pain becomes an ally on the journey to becoming a better version of yourself. Imagine facing a situation of rejection where your expectations are completely frustrated. The pain of this experience can be intense. But by following Stoic teachings, you understand that this pain is an invitation to look inward and discover strengths you may not have known you possessed. Stoic philosophy teaches us that adversity reveals our true character, and that by embracing pain instead of avoiding it, we find an inner strength that pushes us beyond our previous limits. Thus, pain transforms into a catalyst for growth rather than being merely a source of suffering. Stoicism suggests that when facing pain, we should ask ourselves, what can I learn from this? Instead of succumbing to despair, we are encouraged to seek the hidden lesson in every painful experience. Perhaps pain teaches us about resilience, about the need to change direction, or about the importance of cultivating patience. By approaching pain with curiosity and a willingness to learn, we transform what could have been a destructive experience into an opportunity for growth. This is the power of Stoic philosophy. It shows us that we can turn even the most difficult situations into something positive. Another important aspect of Stoic overcoming is the development of empathy. When you understand your own pain, you become more sensitive to the pain of others. This not only enriches your relationships, but also strengthens your own sense of purpose. Pain then is not just an isolated experience, but a means of connection with the humanity around you. Stoicism teaches us that by overcoming our own pain, we can help others overcome theirs, creating a cycle of mutual growth and support. Thus, pain not only strengthens us, but also makes us more compassionate and connected with the world. Turning pain into growth also requires a certain amount of courage. It takes courage to face pain head-on, to acknowledge your own weaknesses, and to seek overcoming. The modern Stoic understands that life is not easy, but that difficulties faced with courage and determination turn into personal achievements. Stoic discipline encourages us not to flee from pain, but to face it with a mindset of learning and growth. This attitude not only helps us overcome challenges, but also prepares us for future adversities, strengthening our character and resilience. A practical example of this can be found in people who, after a great loss, decide to turn their pain into something positive, like starting a project in memory of a loved one, or helping others going through similar situations. This type of Stoic reaction does not deny the pain, but channels it into a greater cause, turning suffering into a driving force for good. This transformation of pain into growth is a testament to the inner strength we all possess, and that Stoicism helps us discover and cultivate throughout life. Stoicism teaches us that pain, when faced with the right mindset, is an opportunity for growth and overcoming. How have you been dealing with the pains and challenges in your life? Are you turning these experiences into learning and growth, or do you still find yourself trapped in suffering? Share your experience in the comments and reflect on how this philosophy can help you turn pain into a powerful tool for personal overcoming. Topic 9. Embracing uncertainty, finding strength in ambiguity. Uncertainty is a constant in life, and Stoicism teaches us to embrace it rather than fear it. We live in a world where the quest for control and security can be overwhelming, but the modern Stoic understands that true strength comes from accepting uncertainty and finding power in ambiguity. When we face situations beyond our control, anxiety can be a natural reaction. However, Stoicism invites us to see uncertainty as an opportunity to practice resilience, to strengthen our adaptability, and to discover new possibilities hidden in the unknown. Imagine that you are about to make an important decision, but the variables are so many that predicting the outcome is impossible. This type of situation can cause great discomfort, but the Stoic knows that uncertainty does not have to be an enemy. Instead of being paralyzed by the fear of the unknown, they adopt a stance of curiosity and openness. Stoicism teaches us that life is full of surprises, and that by accepting this, we find an inner strength that allows us to navigate the turbulent waters of uncertainty with confidence and serenity. This is one of the great secrets to living a full and balanced life. Accepting uncertainty also helps us develop a mindset of detachment. When we understand that we cannot control everything, we begin to detach from rigid expectations and predetermined outcomes. This does not mean resignation, but rather a calm confidence in the process of life. The modern Stoic understands that by detaching from certainties, they become more flexible, more prepared to face unexpected changes, and more capable of finding opportunities where others only see obstacles. This mindset not only strengthens us, but also frees us from the shackles of fear and anxiety. Stoic philosophy teaches us that uncertainty is an essential part of growth. When everything is certain and predictable, we are not challenged to grow, learn, or adapt. It is in ambiguity that we are tested and that our true capabilities emerge. By embracing uncertainty, we are opening ourselves to a world of possibilities where every challenge is a chance to become stronger and wiser. This is the power of Stoicism. It prepares us to face life with courage, even when the path ahead is uncertain and unclear. In many areas of life, from work to relationships, uncertainty can be a source of stress, but it can also be a catalyst for innovation and creativity. When we accept that we don't have all the answers, we allow ourselves to explore new ideas and approaches. Stoicism teaches us that uncertainty does not have to be a burden, but rather an opportunity to think differently, to step out of our comfort zone, and to grow. By changing our perspective on uncertainty, we transform what could be a point of weakness into a source of strength and resilience. The practice of Stoicism invites us to focus on what we can control, our reactions, our choices, our attitude, and to accept what we cannot. This acceptance is liberating because it allows us to live fully without being consumed by the fear of the unknown. By cultivating this mindset, you become more resilient, more adaptable, and more capable of facing any challenge life throws at you. Uncertainty then ceases to be an enemy and becomes a powerful ally in your journey of personal development. Stoicism shows us that by accepting uncertainty, we find an inner strength that allows us to live with more confidence and less fear. How have you been dealing with uncertainties in your life? Are you finding strength in ambiguity? Or do you still feel paralyzed by the fear of the unknown? Share your experience in the comments and reflect on how this philosophy can help you turn uncertainty into a source of power and resilience. Topic 10. The power of self-compassion, turning the pain of indifference into self-care. When we are ignored or feel undervalued, the pain of indifference can be deep and trigger a wave of self-criticism. Stoicism, however, teaches us to practice self-compassion, a powerful tool that allows us to turn this pain into self-care. Self-compassion is the ability to treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a close friend in times of difficulty. Instead of punishing ourselves for not being good enough in the eyes of others, the modern Stoic turns inward, recognizing their own pains and offering themselves the comfort needed to move forward with resilience. Imagine facing a situation where your effort is completely ignored, leading you to question your own worth. Self-compassion at this moment becomes essential. Instead of letting others' indifference dictate how you feel about yourself, the Stoic practices self-empathy, recognizing that we all face moments of rejection and that this does not diminish your value. This self-care is a form of emotional resilience, where you allow yourself to feel the pain, but also to heal from it. Stoicism teaches us that by taking care of ourselves with compassion, we strengthen our ability to face future adversities. Self-compassion also involves accepting your own imperfections. The modern Stoic understands that no one is perfect and that everyone at some point fails or faces rejection. By accepting your flaws with kindness, you free yourself from the pressure to always be impeccable and begin to see your challenges as opportunities for learning and growth. Stoic philosophy invites us to look at our difficulties with a more compassionate eye, understanding that they are part of the personal development process and that by treating ourselves with care, we strengthen ourselves to face the world with more confidence and courage. This practice of self-compassion not only relieves immediate pain, but also builds a solid foundation of self-esteem. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable and acknowledge your own feelings, you are reinforcing the idea that you deserve care and respect, regardless of others' opinions. Stoicism teaches us that a person's worth does not lie in external perceptions, but in how they see and treat themselves. By practicing self-compassion, you strengthen this positive internal view, creating a virtuous cycle where self-care feeds resilience, and resilience in turn reinforces self-compassion. In a world that often values toughness and self-demand, self-compassion may seem like a weakness, but the modern Stoic knows it is actually a great source of strength. Taking care of yourself with kindness does not mean settling, but rather recognizing that to continue growing and facing challenges, you need to be emotionally well. This practice is especially important in moments when we feel ignored or rejected, because it is in these moments that the temptation to be hard on ourselves is greatest. Stoicism, however, invites us to respond with kindness and understanding, turning pain into a moment of renewal and personal strengthening. A practical example of this is taking time to reflect on your emotions in moments of indifference, perhaps through journaling or meditation. By putting your feelings into words or simply allowing yourself to feel without judgment, you are actively practicing self-compassion. This not only helps process the pain, but also regain your emotional balance. Stoic philosophy supports these practices as ways to care for yourself and maintain a strong and resilient mind, capable of facing adversity without getting lost in suffering. Stoicism teaches us that self-compassion is a path to turning pain into self-care and emotional strengthening. How have you been practicing self-compassion in your life? Are you allowing yourself to be kind to yourself in moments of pain? Or do you still fall into the trap of self-criticism? Share your experience in the comments and reflect on how this practice can help you face adversity with more resilience and inner peace. Topic 11. The virtue of tolerance, overcoming indifference with empathy. The indifference of others can easily evoke feelings of anger or resentment, but Stoicism invites us to cultivate the virtue of tolerance, to face these moments with empathy and understanding. When someone ignores us, it is tempting to react defensively, but the modern Stoic understands that this indifference often reflects the other person's internal struggles. By practicing tolerance, you not only maintain your inner peace, but also create a space of understanding where empathy can flourish. This approach not only disarms negativity, but also transforms the way you deal with emotional challenges. Imagine being in a situation where someone close to you responds with coldness or disinterest. Instead of fueling the cycle of hurt and resentment, Stoicism suggests that you put yourself in the other's shoes, trying to understand what might be motivating this behavior. Empathy in this context is an extension of tolerance, allowing you to see beyond superficial actions and realize that indifference is often a mask for deeper personal problems. By responding with empathy, you not only preserve your serenity, but also open the door to deeper and more honest communication. Tolerance is a powerful virtue that allows us to see situations more broadly without being carried away by the emotions of the moment. Stoicism teaches us that by practicing tolerance, we are strengthening our ability to respond wisely rather than reacting impulsively. This is especially important when dealing with indifference because this attitude can easily trigger negative feelings. However, by cultivating tolerance, you become capable of overcoming these impulses and acting according to your values rather than being controlled by emotions. This practice is a true exercise in emotional resilience. By overcoming indifference with empathy, you are also promoting an environment of understanding and harmony. Stoic philosophy reminds us that we all, at some point, struggle with our own inner demons, and that indifference can be a reflection of these struggles. By approaching others with tolerance, you demonstrate strength that transcends small provocations and focuses on what truly matters, human connection. This approach not only improves your interpersonal relationships, but also reinforces your own inner peace because you are not allowing others' behavior to negatively affect your well-being. A practical example of how tolerance can transform a situation is when, upon being ignored by a co-worker, you choose to approach them kindly, asking if everything is okay instead of responding with coldness. This act of empathy can disarm indifference and open a dialogue that otherwise would not happen. Stoicism teaches us that tolerance and empathy are powerful tools for building bridges rather than erecting walls. By adopting this mindset, you not only strengthen your relationships, but also become a positive presence in others' lives. The practice of tolerance also helps us maintain a healthy perspective on our own reactions. When you recognize that others' indifference may have nothing to do with you, but rather with the internal struggles they are facing, it becomes easier not to take things personally. Stoicism teaches us to maintain this mental clarity, allowing our actions to be guided by wisdom and compassion rather than emotional reactions. This not only improves your ability to handle conflicts, but also gives you a sense of peace that is hard to shake. Stoicism teaches us that tolerance is an essential virtue for overcoming indifference with empathy and understanding. How have you been practicing tolerance in your life? Are you able to respond to indifference with empathy, or do you still feel trapped in the cycle of resentment? Share your experience in the comments and reflect on how this practice can transform your relationships and your own emotional well-being. Topic 12. Finding purpose in adversity, turning challenges into a mission. Adversities are inevitable in life, but Stoicism teaches us that we can find purpose even in the most difficult moments. Instead of seeing challenges as mere obstacles, the modern Stoic views them as opportunities to transform their life and reaffirm their deepest values. When you face indifference or rejection, you are being invited to redefine your goals and turn these experiences into a personal mission for growth. This is the power of Stoicism. It allows us to turn pain and difficulty into fuel for achieving a greater purpose. Imagine a time when you face significant adversity, such as losing a job or ending a relationship. Stoicism invites us to see these moments not as the end of something, but as the beginning of a new journey. By turning this adversity into a mission, you are taking control of your life narrative, deciding that you will not be defined by difficulties, but by how you choose to respond to them. This Stoic approach not only gives meaning to difficult moments, but also provides you with a clear direction to move forward, turning what could have been a period of darkness into a moment of rebirth. Turning challenges into a mission is a practice that requires resilience and vision. The modern Stoic understands that by facing adversities, they have the chance to grow and strengthen. Instead of focusing on the difficulties, they ask themselves, how can I use this experience to become a better person? This type of reflection not only alleviates the burden of pain, but also creates an opportunity for learning and development. Stoicism teaches us that every challenge is a disguised lesson, and by finding purpose in adversity, you are giving yourself the power to shape your own destiny. This mindset of transformation is fundamental for achieving lasting meaning in life. Stoicism teaches us that purpose is not something we find outside of ourselves, but something we create through our responses to circumstances. When you decide to turn adversity into a mission, you are committing to use this experience to grow, to learn, and to contribute positively to the world. This is the true meaning of finding purpose. It is an act of creation where you take control of your life and decide that every experience, good or bad, will have a profound and transformative meaning. A practical example of this transformation can be seen in people who, after facing a serious illness, decide to dedicate their lives to helping others going through the same situation. By doing this, they find a greater purpose that gives meaning to their own pain and suffering. Stoicism teaches us that this is one of the most powerful ways to deal with adversity, by turning it into a mission that not only heals oneself, but also positively impacts others' lives. This kind of purpose gives us the strength to keep going even when things seem impossible. Stoic philosophy encourages us not just to endure adversity, but to use it as a springboard for something greater. When you find purpose in challenges, you are creating a life that is rich in meaning and depth. This not only improves your own quality of life, but also serves as an inspiring example to others, showing that it is possible to turn any situation, no matter how difficult, into an opportunity for growth and overcoming. By adopting this mindset, you become the architect of your own destiny, capable of finding light even in the darkest moments. Stoicism teaches us that every adversity carries within it the seed of a new purpose. How have you been facing the challenges in your life? Are you managing to turn them into a personal mission, or do you still feel paralyzed by difficulties? Share your experience in the comments and reflect on how this practice can help you find a deeper and more meaningful purpose in your personal journey. Think of all the situations where you were ignored, left out, or felt invisible. Now see each of them as a disguised opportunity, a chance to practice detachment from others' expectations, to cultivate emotional self-sufficiency, and to find a greater purpose in the midst of adversity. Are you ready to turn these challenges into personal missions? Are you willing to use the power of self-compassion and tolerance to grow and strengthen yourself, even when everything seems to be against you? If these questions made you reflect, then it's time to act. Start applying these 7 steps in your daily life and see the transformation happen. And to continue learning and developing, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. Here, we are committed to helping you become the best version of yourself by following Stoic teachings and other principles of personal development. Don't miss this opportunity. Join us on this journey of growth and resilience.